So let's start out. Who's making a difference?
We are.
How are we making a difference? Maybe by the end of my term we'll have it. Thank you, Ed. Without you, where would we be?
In the dark.
In the dark. So can we say it, lighting up Rotary together? How are we making a difference?
Lighting up Rotary together.
Oh, thank you. I want to also thank Samantha. She's been terrific helping with the camera and filming. And I know James thanks you because he's not here. And anybody else on the team, like Brad Nelson, who might be stuck on the camera if Samantha was not here. I want to thank our greeters, Joe Avella and Joe Zaptowski, as well as the other members of the AV team, Jimmy Sutphin, Tom Page, Larry Santon, Ron Barnhouse, and anybody else who helps. We appreciate it. And now, yes.
I understand Tom Page is in the hospital. Does anybody know about that? He was in the hospital last night, so.
We don't know. We'll find out how Tom's doing or what's going on. I don't know if you're out of order, Phil. Maybe that goes under announcements. Yeah. All right, Larry, are you ready for introducing our guest?
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
We've got a group of people in today, so let me get through the names and then we can give them our warm Rotary welcome. Our guest today is Jack Young, a past district governor from Conneaut. His home club is Conneaut, and he's responsible for this mess on the floor. And will tell us about how that happened in a little while. Marty Bach is here as part of a student learning group. Samantha, we know, is here. Dominic DiGeronimo is here as part of that group. And Grant Augst is here from Safety Town, and we've got a little presentation from him later on. So let's welcome all of our guests.
Next, Jimmy Sutphin chairs our recognition committee.
Our birthdays are next week, but we do have a progress report on Liz Ramsey. She's at home, and if you are so inclined, you'd like to give her a call, I know she would really appreciate it. She's had major surgery, and sadly enough, she's got more of those coming up. So give her a call.
And now we have a check presentation by Craig Tallman, who's president of our Rotary Club Foundation. So Gail Royster, if you would come up. Grant Augst.
And good morning, Rotarians. And Ron Strobel, please approach the podium, wherever you are. There you are. Okay, sorry about that. Well, this morning is the third segment of our presentation of the proceeds from our gala event, and these are the moments that we all take a lot of pride in. And this morning we have the opportunity to present a significant award to the Hudson Community Service Education and Recreation Association. Grant Augst is here with us today for the benefit of the Safety Town project. So congratulations, Grant, and we're very pleased to present this to you today. Gail and Ron.
I just want to thank everybody very much for the time and effort you all put in. I know the time and effort in the gala that you put on every year is a special event here in Hudson and the community, and everybody looks forward to it. It meant so much for the community. Excuse me. We have a wonderful home for Safety Town now. The children thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know one of your members, grandchild, thoroughly enjoyed it, and we had such a great year. And we're looking forward to growing it even more this upcoming year. And if you haven't seen it, please come out and take a look at it. It's there right behind Evamere in front of Eastwoods. It's a beautiful new storage barn and pad for the children to learn all about safety. It's a great collaborative effort between so many community organizations within the city, the Hudson Police Department, the Fire Department, the Power Department, the community itself, the schools, everybody that has been so involved. Of course, we couldn't have gotten it done and accomplished without the support and the financial support of Rotary and with Margaret Clark Morgan Foundation, Granger Foundation, and so many others, so many fine individuals in this town. So thank you so much for all your time and effort and giving to the children who really deserve that. So thank you very much.
It's always fun to give away money, especially if it's not your own, right? All right, so are we ready to play Rotary Jeopardy? Samantha's queuing up the music. Is this not cool? I'm going to give you the clue, and you be the first to give the correct answer. We have our Sergeant at Arms here who's going to point out.
First to raise their hand.
First to raise your hand. All right. And the correct answer in the form of a question, right? All righty. And unfortunately, Duncan, you can't be part of this because you'll know the answer. But guess what, Duncan?
That's a fine. That's a fine.
What is Duncan Tanner?
No, Tanner Duncan.
But I have a Tootsie Roll Pop for you. If you'd like to give him the Tootsie Roll Pop, so you'll feel better, Duncan.
Also, so I'll shut up, right?
All righty. This Rotary Cultural Revolution took place in 1986.
No. Women.
Women what?
Would you like to rephrase your answer? I'll tell you what, if we got a sharp group, what is?
All right, he didn't put it in the form of a question. So I think it was Tom was second. You lose, right? Tom? I think it was Tom. Wrong. Wrong.
Who are women in Rotary?
Who are women in Rotary? Technically, it's when were women first admitted to Rotary?
That's what I meant.
Oh, okay, come on up. And we have a bubble wand for you. Use it when you're golfing. When you get that hole in one, right, like Ben? All righty. 5-minute Rotarian, Dave Basil.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians. Good morning. I think a lot of you probably know some of my background. I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for more years than I frankly would like to think. I met my wife in law school. She obviously is also an attorney. And we just celebrated this past August 37 years of happy marriage. 2 sons, Christopher, who went away to school and came back to Hudson, bought a house in town, and a younger son, Jonathan, whose travels have led him far and wide and have now landed him in southern Illinois, about an hour and a half east of St. Louis. I'm on city council, and I'm very, very honored and happy to be able to participate in the community in that way. I'm always interested in family histories, so I thought I would go back a little way in my family history and share some of that with all of you. On my father's side, I am the 4th generation that has produced an attorney, going back to my great-great-grandfather. Every generation up to mine has had at least one lawyer. One of my cousins is a lawyer as well, out in Colorado. But it looks like the legacy is going to stop now because neither of my sons have any interest in law, nor do any of my cousins' children. So on my father's side, it looks like this will be the end of the line, at least uninterrupted. My great-great-grandfather and great-grandfather, as I said, were both attorneys. 2 buildings in small Ohio towns bear their names. My paternal grandmother's maiden name was DeFord, so if you're ever in Minerva or Ottawa, Ohio, look for a building and it'll say DeFord, up on the 3rd or 4th floor. On my mother's side, my great-grandfather was a physician. My grandfather was an artist of some accomplishment, and we're blessed to have 2 of his works in our home. But I guess that's maybe where I get a little bit of my artistic bent. I've always been very interested in visual and performing arts, especially music and painting. That's a little bit of my family history. We intend to be in Hudson for a very, very long time, probably the rest of our lives, good Lord willing. My wife and I absolutely love this community. She has participated in some aspects of community life as well. The thing that she devoted most of her time to was being on Parents Advisory Council at Akron Children's Hospital. She was on that board for about 14 years. It was very rewarding, and I will tell you from personal experience, and her experience is relayed to me, that we are immensely blessed to have a facility like Akron Children's Hospital so close. They do absolutely phenomenal work, and the compassion and the level of care that are provided to children at that facility are second to none. And with that, if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them. Okay.
Who has a question for Who has a question for a politician or a lawyer? Alrighty, we're very proud now to welcome our service learning team today. So Marty Bach is here. Lonnie Banner has another meeting she had to attend.
Well, good morning, Rotarians. Good to see you. You're right. Thanks for having me. Yes, I know you're used to Lonnie being here, but she. Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, she does have another meeting at the high school that the English department all has to be in on. So that's why I'm flying here, is I'm the social studies wing of service learning. So you'll know, because this is their first time here this year, we are back to being a team of 3. So, of course, Lonnie's English, I'm the social studies, and then Jamie Cosman, who's also English, she's an English teacher. He should come here a few times, who's helping out with the program. So, thanks again for your continued support this year. We have 64 new seniors in this year. You're going to meet a couple of them today, and I'm sure more of them will come during the course of the year to talk to you and work with you. The one last thing that I want to remind you of is that you are welcome. We are doing our annual fall camping trip at Camp Ledgewood in Peninsula, the Girl Scout camp, that we're going to be doing service there. And you're more than welcome if you'd like to work with some of the seniors. It will be on the morning of October 15th. That is a Wednesday. So if any of you are interested, please contact me or Lonnie at the high school. We'll let you know the.
They're already emailing me.
Oh, okay.
We got it covered.
Very good. Okay, Ms. Royster has it covered. So again, it's Wednesday, October 15th. So I first would like to introduce our students. They're going to talk just a couple minutes about what they're doing and who they are. And I have Dominic DiGeronimo with us, and Samantha Mintz, who's been videotaping.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Samantha Mintz, and I am a service learning student at Hudson High School. My site that I am currently at is the Portage County Animal Shelter in Ravenna, Ohio, and I get to work with the animals. This will be my 3rd week that I will be volunteering there. The first week I just did a lot of cleaning and things like of the sort, but now I am getting to move on to work with the cats, and so basically I just get to clean their cages and stuff like that. And so I feel really devoted to like animals. That's a huge part of me, and I am hoping to attend the Ohio State University and go on to veterinary medicine. I currently also work at a veterinary office, so I am very into the helping of the animals because I like to speak out when they have no voice. But yeah, that's my site for this semester.
Hello, my name is Dominic DiGeronimo. I'm a Hudson High School football player and rugby player as well. I am a senior. Yeah. First off, thank you very much for your generous donation toward our new field house and amazing stadium. Thank you. It's awesome. My site for service learning is very local. It's at Eastwoods Elementary, where I'm help teaching special ed 5th graders. Truly, it's an amazing thing. I plan on going to college at the University of Kentucky to hopefully play rugby there as well and be a high school history teacher as well. Yeah, my kids are amazing. I have a small group of them, but I work with them every Tuesday and Wednesday. They love me. They flock to me. It's just an amazing feeling walking in there. And I mean, I have a sister who's also in the same team. Like, the 2 teachers work together as a team, and I work with that same team, so I get to harass my sister every day on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, not just at home. So that's a plus. But she doesn't like it, obviously, but it's fun. It's truly an amazing experience. Thank you very much for your support toward it, and I hope that we can continue it for the future. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Warfield. My name is Dominic DiGeronimo. I have another brother, Dante DiGeronimo, who is a junior at Hudson High School. I have another brother, Dane DiGeronimo, who is a 7th grader at the Hudson Middle School, and my sister, Delaney DiGeronimo, at Hudson Elementary, 5th grader. My mother's name is Dessa DiGeronimo, and my father's name is Greg DiGeronimo. During the name picking thing, my dad really lost that battle, so we just all with levity. So.
Good response.
Thank you, Mr. Warfield.
Aren't they terrific? Thank you. All right, also terrific is our historian of Rotary, Duncan Tanner.
Can we settle down, please?
What a rowdy crowd.
Right, I'm watching you. You're already down for $2 for picking on that kid, Rich. You want to keep digging the hole? Before we begin, thank you so much for all of the texts and emails and phone calls around midnight, purposely using my name incorrectly minutes after I announced my correct name last Wednesday. I appreciate the fact that you're all so clever and that you obviously have way too much time on your hands. Good morning, fellow history buffs. Good morning. All right. Today, David, write down $2, whoever that was. I'll make up something, okay? Just right now. Without further ado, Albert Schweitzer. Ideal Rotarian. Albert Schweitzer was born in 1875 into an Alsatian family which had for generations been dedicated to religion, music, and education. His forefathers of French and German origin included ministers, organists, and scholars. Schweitzer entered the University of Strasbourg's theology school in 1893, receiving a doctorate in 1900. He began preaching in churches throughout Strasbourg, and in 1906 published The Quest for the Historical Jesus. That book cemented his fame as a theological scholar and is considered the first widely accepted work to objectively examine Jesus' life and work in light of German Protestantism. During this time, Schweitzer was also establishing himself as an accomplished musician. He was only 9 years old when he first played the organ in his father's church. By the time he was in his early 20s, Schweitzer was an internationally recognized organist and made enough money from recitals to pay for his education. Schweitzer then enters medical school at Strasbourg and receives his MD in 1913. Deciding to become an African medical missionary instead of a traditional minister, he and his wife, who was trained as a nurse, founded Labarine Hospital in French Equatorial Africa. In 1917, at the height of World War I, the couple are imprisoned at a French internment camp, as even though they were actually French citizens, they were mistakenly considered to have German sympathies. Released in 1918, Schweitzer writes 4 more books on Christianity and civilization and gives lectures and concerts. Using proceeds from his performances and books, he and his wife returned to Africa in 1924 to expand the hospital. In 1952, the minister, doctor, musician is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Schweitzer uses every penny of the $33,000 award to expand Lambaret to serve lepers. This was a particularly courageous service, as leprosy, even in the modern era, was highly stigmatized and a source of fear and loathing. In 1953, Schweitzer is inducted into the Rotary clubs of both Colmar, France, and Passau, Germany. During both ceremonies, he is reported to have proclaimed with great emotion, "I am one of you." By 1960, Lambaret is serving over 500 patients, and Albert Schweitzer is considered, along with Mother Teresa, the preeminent humanitarian of the entire 20th century. He passes away in 1965. In researching Schweitzer, I came up with over 100 quotes alone that focused on his desire to serve and the importance he placed on serving humanity. Here is one of them. "I do not know what your destiny is, but I do know one thing. The only ones among you who will truly be happy are those who have sought and found how to serve." Thank you.
Thanks again for that very interesting tidbit. And now we'll get ready for our speaker, Jimmy.
This is a very interesting morning for me. I've known Jack for a long time. His fiancée, Marcia Pappalardo, her dad and I worked together in the ink business. If you look in this book here, which is put out by the district, Marcia's on 3 pages in this book. Jack's on 7 pages in this book. He is a highly involved Rotarian in Safety Town. He's a past president of the Rotary Club of Conneaut, assistant governor of Ashtabula County, past district governor, Northeast Ohio, Paul Harris, level 3, member of the Bequest Society for the Rotary Foundation, past district conference chair, past Zone 28 membership coordinator, past Zone 28 literacy coordinator, 2014 and 15, chair, past district governor, Council 6630, and on and on. This guy is one busy guy. In fact, I tried to reach him last weekend, and he was on his way to La Crosse, Wisconsin, for a Rotary meeting. With no further ado, Jack Young. Safety Town.
I will have to say that I'm familiar with Safety Town because when I was president of the Lions Club, we did Safety Town up in Conneaut, so I know what you do, and that's a great, great organization and what you do for the young people, so congratulations. Pardon? Okay. Anyway, but I'm a Rotarian at heart. My passion is Rotary. I understand you're going to be at the Girl Scout camp here shortly. The tent would probably fit right in. I'm sure the Rotarians would be willing to set up a tent for you. I'll just put it out on the ground and let you go ahead and put up the tent. What's in this box, by the way, is shelter box. Now, I don't want you to be worried about the year because, unfortunately, I did not get it returned from last year from the Zone Institute, so I'm going to give you what's here and the last one I had, and then I'm going to give you an update. Shelter Box is a worldwide disaster relief organization, responds to disasters throughout the world. Last year, we became the first project partner of the Rotary Foundation. Founded by Tom Henderson back in 2000, he was an England native, and he was a Navy SEAL for England, and he saw a need to respond to disasters when something happened in the world. And what do you do when you've lost everything, your home, furnishings, and so on? So he started in the garage of his house in Cornwall, England, and since then has grown to be represented in 18 countries in the world. I'm on the USA Board of Directors. I've been on it for 7 years, and we are there to support disaster and helping provide housing but we don't respond with food. That's not our goal. We're kind of at the pendulum. When a disaster hits, it starts on the upswing. We're there to provide housing, and it's in the form of tents. We have back in a couple years ago in Haiti, with the devastation they had there, we responded with over 32,000 tents, shelter boxes. Rotary supplied about 80% of that need. We continue to rely on Rotary as our primary source, even though we look at foundations such as IBM, Home Depot, Lumber Liquidators, Lowe's, etc. But we still rely on Rotarians and Rotary clubs to help us meet the need of disasters throughout the world. So again, it's something that's developed over the years. The USA is the leading country, to be very honest with you. We are one of the largest as far as contributions to Shelterbox International, and our board is continually active in what we do as far as the disaster relief. One of our past presidents of the board of directors is on the board of the UK. I have been there, by the way. I was invited several years ago by the founder. Marsh and I went over to Cornwall, England. And I'm going to tell you, the warehouse is probably not much bigger than maybe three or four times this room. It's not full with luxury. It's working people, volunteers, Rotarians helping pack these boxes and sending them overseas to where they need to go throughout the world, including the USA. The USA, however, some of the citizens are reluctant because they want FEMA housing. So we have not been as big as we'd like to when we respond to Katrina, to up in the New England states. But I guarantee you, when you send something like this over to the third world countries, it is better than probably what they're living in when a disaster hits. Next slide. This is, again, 2010, amazing. I'm going to give you an update as we go through this. The Haiti response was our biggest. Unfortunately, I didn't get the slides back from the Zone Institute quick enough, so I'm using kind of the same format. Next slide. Now, of course, it's about 14 years experience. We've helped now, instead of 1 million people, it's over 2.2 million people that we have helped throughout the world. Instead of 130 disasters, it's now about 280 disasters that we've responded to throughout the world. In 70 countries, it's 96. Next slide. Again, we provide shelter, warmth, and dignity to people who have been displaced. When I talk to grade schools and high school students, just imagine, close your eyes a second, you go home and your home is no longer there. What do? That's where we come into these people who've been affected by disasters throughout the world. Because, again, they have nothing. Next slide, please. And these are just some of the places of dignity. It gives them some protection. We now have the white tent. If you notice, this happened to be a green one. That's our 4th generation tent. The white tent is the 5th generation tent. It's been enhanced with airflow by having some webbing at the top. And then we also have a lip on the tent. When you walk in, you got to step over, because one of the things that happens when you have flooding, guess what? You get some uninvited guests, such as snakes. They cannot go up over this kind of ledge that we provide in the tent. So again, this is the white tent you see there is the 5th generation tent. Next slide. And that's just how they're being set up. What we do is we send over volunteers. We have in the United States about 320 volunteers that are willing to go over pretty much at a moment's notice to a disaster. and educate the community, because there's no way that a team of 4 or 5, even if you sent 3 or 4 teams, to be able to set up like 30,000 tents. So we send them over and we educate the community and how to set up those tents. We don't put them in harm's way, these volunteers, but we do ask them to go over. We do not pay them. The dollars that goes coming from Shelter Box, we pay to get them there. We pay, give them some incidental money to help feed them, but they go over as a volunteer. We may call you on a Friday afternoon, can you leave Sunday? That's how quick this may happen. And we have right now about 320 volunteers. We use a lot of teachers, especially during the summer months. Male, female, age up to 76. We have one of our response team members is 76 years old, and we send them over to educate on how to set up these tents the right way. They can withstand about 110 miles an hour winds when properly staked. Next slide. Again, just showing you some area we can assist. 500,000 disaster victims every year is what our goal is, and what we're trying to do is a strategic plan, because we never know when a disaster is going to hit. Next slide. And this kind of shows you some of the boxes and delivered over the years. And in 2011, we're up to over 40,000 now that we've been able to respond to. Next slide. Next slide. Again, this is, I talked about where we come into play is basically down in this area here. We're providing at the pendulum when a disaster hits, and then the other organizations will continue on, especially those in the countries that it's been affected. So we're right down right after it happens. We're notified, our office in Cornwall, England is notified within 12 minutes of any major disaster in the world. We start setting the motion into play of contacting that country and see what assistance we can provide. We just can't rush in and say, here we are as Rotarians or Shelter Box. We have to be invited into that country. So the response team members that we select not only have to go through some physical aspects of it, because they are trained by the Navy SEALs in England, they have to be able to communicate well with the governments and with the politicians of those countries. So we don't want someone that's abrasive or anything like that. You got to be a diplomat when you're on a Shelter Box team. Next slide. Again, keep it simple. Shelter, warmth, and dignity. Next slide. Shelter Box solution. We get these boxes to these areas any way that we can, by ship, by air. And one of the things that we're dealing with right now is every time a disaster hits, what usually happens to shipping costs? People jack up the prices. So right now our strategic plan is to have 7 locations in the world where we can pre-position shelter boxes. Our goal is to have 50,000 shelter boxes pre-positioned at any one time. We're far from that, because we just cannot keep enough boxes, and of course we have to rely on donations to help us. So again, that's our strategic plan. We have a warehouse. One of the locations is in Texas, where DHL has donated a warehouse in Houston at $1 a year. And so that's one of our areas. We have one in Germany, one in Australia, one in Japan. So we're working to get those kind of warehouses and the costs involved, because we can't afford to spend a lot of money. So we can handle the $1 a year. And so if we can get others to do that, that's fantastic. But again, our goal is to have 50,000 of these shelter boxes ready to go at a moment's notice. Next slide. Again, this just shows you some of the needs, some of the kids, and again, we're there to serve the families and so on of those disasters. Next. Afghanistan. We'll just show a couple slides of where we've been and what we've been able to do in providing these boxes. We had reminds me of an individual over in Africa. He was about 80 years old, came with his family, his grandchildren, and so on. And we said, we can give you a box, but we can't get it back to where he was, because he's in one of the areas that was hard to get to, and we couldn't do it. An 80-year-old man picked that box up, put it on his head, and walked away. That's 110 pounds. I'm having trouble lifting it without the other things in it. But this is how these people are so interesting, and so they just need help. but he picked that up and put it on his head and walked away with his children. They had about 15 in the family. And these tents, you can accommodate about 18, depending on how big they are. We have sleeping bags. There's a stove that goes with this that burns anything, cow chips, wood, paper, whatever you can burn, it'll burn. This filtration system, this will filter out 18,000 liters of water before it has to be cleaned. 18,000 liters, a spatial filter that's made for us, and that's what this can do. So you can take muddy water. When I was down at the Boy Scout Jamboree a couple years ago,
Jack, you gotta talk to me.
when I was in at the Jamboree down in West Virginia a couple years ago, we just took water right out of the ground. It rained that day, put it through here and drink it, and it filters out about 99% of what's in the water. So this is very important. It's not food, but certainly it's water that helps sustain life. Next slide. Again, these are just some of the boxes. We use camels. Any way we can get them there. Any way we can get those boxes. Next slide. Just some more. Next slide. Again, the $1,000 per box, which you've helped sponsor and other clubs have helped sponsor, we've maintained that. I've been on the board 7 years and we have not increased that price. We are looking at ways to get a higher quality at a lower cost. So we've been able to maintain the $1,000 per box for at least 7 years that I've been on the board. Next slide. These are just showing you some of the operations where we've been, and the green is the countries we've been in and where we have affiliates. Next. Again, some of these areas, some of you have been there, I'm sure, some of these countries, and I'm going to tell you it's been a life-saving experience for these countries and the people that's been affected by disasters. So we've been all over the world, and we're well recognized with our green, with the shelter box logo. Next. Again, showing you some of the other areas that we've been in. And again, our challenge is to continually raising funds for that, and clubs and Rotarians have been responsible. Next slide. Again, these are some of the things that happen. We break it down by year, and I can add 2012, 13 and 14 to this where we responded. This year, one more slide. I think there's one more that I want to show. But again, this is the kind of devastation that you have. This is the kind of devastation that we're dealing with. And we're there we're notified again within 12 minutes after that takes place. Next slide, I think it's. And again, the injured. We have used our shelter box tents for hospitals. It's been surgical rooms where there's been nothing left of the medical facility they have in these countries, so they use our tent, and they actually perform surgeries. And then we give the tent, once that's over with, we're complete, then we'll give it to a family to use. Okay, you can turn it off. That's Shelter Box itself, again, is one of the leading disaster organizations. Matter of fact, we can get into countries where other NGOs cannot. The other NGOs come to us and say, how are you getting in? And you know, the answer is very simple. Rotarians. Rotary gets us into these countries. Clubs that knows what's happening, they will get us into these countries in a very short amount of time. And once we've been invited in, usually by the government, we will be there to help support their need. As far as what we're doing here in the United States and raising money, we obviously make presentations like this. And I want to share with you, I believe in our children. The power of our children is unreal. I was asked to go to a small city, Canfield, Ohio. Some of you may know where that is, District 6650. A fourth grade teacher and her class wanted to do something for Haiti. Just wanted to help out in some way. So I went down, talked about what was happening, showed them the tent, showed the principal. They said, well, come back in a month. Well, I was anticipating, well, maybe they could do something, maybe one box. That would be phenomenal for this fourth grade class. I went back in a month, went to the gymnasium, and it was full of the kids and teachers. And the principal called me up on stage and said, we'd like to make a small contribution to Shelter Box. That fourth grade class and teacher was responsible for raising $26,000. That to me was heartwarming. To see that fourth grade class get the other schools involved, the high school, the middle school, The Rotary Club got a little embarrassed. They had to get involved in the process. And the grandparents. And then at the end, one thing that really touched me is a young man came up to me and said, "Mr. Young, I don't have a lot of money, but will you take my penny? That's all I have." This young man gave from the heart 1 penny, and I still have that penny, and I added some to it on his behalf. But he came up and gave me a penny. Now, we all know that that won't go very far. That's not the thought. The thought is he gave what he had to help others in other countries. And to me, that was very heartwarming, and I cherish that moment. So these are the kind of things that we're doing in Shelter Box. We've helped recruit new members. It's been a recruiting tool for Rotary clubs. The Youth Exchange, RILA, Rotaract, they've all been a part of it. We had a youth exchange, a young man in my district from another country who actually during his year here raised $2,000 of selling, working and selling donuts and pizza and cookies that he made, all that kind of thing, just for Shelter Box. When our youth exchange comes in our district, what I've done, I was the youth exchange inbound chair for 4 years, and what I would do is take this green tent down, lay it out on the ground with the 4 poles, very basic, don't have to stake it, and say, now, communicate to set this thing up. And you know those kids from all over the country could set that thing up in less than 7 minutes? It took Rotarians over 20. I'm just saying, the point is, I'm not trying to embarrass Rotarians, but kids, they communicate. I just showed them a picture, this is how it looks, and they did it. So I believe in our young people and what they can do for Rotary, and let's face it, many of us are getting a little older, and we need to have new members, and they need to come from the ranks of the young people. So I believe in specifically what we're doing and what we've done in educating. We actually now have a curriculum that we can send out to grade school teachers that will educate the teachers about disasters, telling them what is a flood, what is a hurricane, what is a volcano. There's a curriculum that's been developed that they can be a part of it. So again, we're very, very fortunate to be in an age where we can do those kind of things. Do you have any questions at all? Yes.
Maybe I missed it, but.
Hold on there, big fella.
Oh, okay.
Not working? Okay. Maybe I missed it, but what was the name, is there a name of a person who actually started?
Shelter Box was founded by a gentleman named Tom Henderson, a Rotarian from Cornwall, England. He was a Navy SEAL, and he just saw a need to help those who've lost everything. So Tom actually, again, started in his garage, Shelter Box, of putting things together, and he added things as we went along the way. It came to the United States in about 2004 as a club project for the Rotary Club of Lakeland, Florida, down near Sarasota. So it was this club project, but it grew so quickly that they could not handle it anymore as a club project, and that's when a part-time executive director was involved, was hired by them. They set up this Shelter Box USA. I joined the board back after I was governor in 2006, and it just has grown since then. We right now have 10 board members from throughout the country, obviously looking for a couple more. We'd like to at least get to a dozen, but that's how it got started by the gentleman, Tom Henderson. Yes?
Two quick questions.
Okay.
Number one, do you try to get the tents back after they've been used? Number two, what were you able to do in North Korea?
Okay, the question is, do we try to get the boxes back, and then what do we do in North Korea? Number one, no. It would be just too costly to try to get these tents back. These tents are made to last at least 2 or 3 years. We've had one case in Africa where they've lasted 7. But to try to get them back it's just too costly. So what we do is they're given to the family, and in the translator or whoever we communicate with is please pass them on to another family once you've rebuilt your small home or hut or whatever that may be. But so we don't get them back. So it just wouldn't work. It just be economically would not work. The second thing in North Korea, we do have Rotarians that have been over there, and that we will supply to North Korea in their disasters. But we haven't. There's not been a large response. But we're there. We try to put all the politics aside and everything. We're there to help humanity, and that's what Rotary is all about. Yes, sir.
I'm curious, when you see pictures on television of these disasters, invariably the Red Cross and the Salvation Army, how do you coordinate with them? There's got so many, probably quite a few others that are involved.
Well, whoever the response team, the question is how do we coordinate with the other disaster organizations? Well, when we're there, they know Shelterbox. Every disaster organization, the Red Crosses, and so, they know who we are. So what we do is we coordinate together where can we be most effective? Because each of us have a little different mission, and again, ours is shelter, warmth, and dignity specifically. So we meet with those representatives. They actually will come to us. We really don't have to go out to them as much. They will come to us because they know that Rotary is a very powerful organization. And so they will come to us, and we have meetings, like when we went to the Philippines. That was an area that there's so, I've been to the Philippines. There's so many little islands out there, and so we were helping each other, and we communicate. We take our communication tools, use the cell phones, and we go back and forth, and we work together. We really do. I don't know of a single NGO that has not been very cooperative with us or we with them. So that's how we work together. Yes, sir.
Jack, weren't you also involved with that Children of the Dump, I think, in Central America?
Okay. I switch Shelterbox to Shoebox. Yes, I am. And the question is, aren't you involved with the Children of the Dump in Nicaragua? Yes. Nicaragua was something I was asked to be a part of back after I finished my year as governor. Matter of fact, I told the person during my year I couldn't do it because I was governor. I had too many things to do. July 3rd, 3 days after my governorship ended, I was asked to go to Nicaragua in December. So we go to the Children of the Dump. We provide shoe boxes. And this is something completely different now. Shoe boxes is meant to give to children living out of a garbage dump in Chinandega, Nicaragua. And the goal is to get them to seek higher education. And the only way they get a Christmas shoebox, which is little clothes dress for the girls, pants for the boys, school supplies, toothpaste. We educate them how to take good hygiene. And we do that, and that's given out every December. Matter of fact, we just sent down 550 shoe boxes, combined it with 5 other Rotary districts, shipped them to Texas, and they're on their way to Nicaragua. I'm going down in December for my 8th trip to Nicaragua to distribute the shoe boxes, and we give them to those kids that only have good grades, have good attendance, and are recommended by the teachers. If they don't meet that criteria, and it's heartbreaking, they don't get a shoe box. But it's the only gift that these kids get. So yes, I am still involved in that. Anything else? I can go into more detail. That's another whole program I easily to go into. But I will tell you, I need to share this. Our districts in 7 years to the Children of the Dump in the surrounding area of Nicaragua, we have now gone over $500,000 of equipment and so on. I've sent a fire truck down, a perfectly good fire truck from Stowe. I've sent 3 ambulances down from our district. The Jaws of Life, 2 Jaws of Life that are perfectly good, firefighting equipment, bunker clothes, and Lincoln Electric just gave me 4 $500 welding masks because these kids were trying to learn a trade in a welding school in Chinandega with only using sunglasses. So we got Lincoln Electric. So those are the kind of things that add up to over $500,000 that your district has been a part of.
Thank you. If that doesn't make you proud to be a Rotarian, I don't know what does. Don't forget to take your brochures home. It has information about Shelterbox. All righty, we have announcements. Larry and Ron and Ed. Quickly, they each have 1 minute to talk to you.
This is easy, just to prove to you that Rotarians can come in out of the rain. Tom canceled our picnic last week, and we've rescheduled it for the 27th, which is a week and a half from now. Many of you help out on the Red Kettle collection around Christmas time. I got a call from the person who coordinates that, and he's going to give us a day, of course, and he'd like us to split a day with the Noon Club. He's looking for 3 days, a total of 3 days from Hudson area. one each for each of the clubs, and then he'd like to see us either share the day with one of our members with the noon club or whatever. So I just need from you an agreement that we are willing to pick up another half a day for Red Kettle. Can I assume that if I don't get any no's, you're saying yes? So anybody with a no? Okay, we're on for another half a day. It will probably be, it'll be early in December, as it usually is, and I'll have more details.
This is a plea for help, but I'll give you some time to think about it. With Connie's leaving the club, I'm in need of an assistant, a co-chair for the auction next year, and hopefully it'll be someone that then would be willing to take the chairmanship and develop a co-chair going forward. Having been involved with this for as many years as I have, I think it's time that we kind of pass the baton a little bit. Think about it. The primary thing that we're missing, but Connie will help as much as she can next year, will be someone that's in regular attendance during the March, April, May timeframe so that we can get the gift intake and do the computer work that's involved with that. So it does take up some Friday luncheon time for meetings, and then during March, April, May, it's pretty steady every week at the after the meeting to take the gifts in. So please think about that, and if you are so disposed to do that, please either contact myself or Allison. Thank you.
Proving the point of tent setup, we refer back to the art on the green and 5 Rotarians taking 40 minutes to put a pop-up tent up with no sides. Very embarrassing. Last Saturday, we had the ribbon cutting for the Malson Athletic Center. The team will be moving in on Sunday. They'll house themselves during the homecoming game this coming Friday. But the picture in the hub today of the Malson family, minus Dick Malson, who was instrumental in getting the funding and also the vision for the project. So it's a tremendous addition to the school district and much appreciated by the entire community. After that, we had our family fun night, and it was a brisk night, but well attended. Young families, again, a lot of people in strollers. Tom, Bill, Dan, many of the Rotarians helping with the event. So it was a complete success again, and again, hopefully this will be an annual event. This coming Friday is a homecoming game. All week long, there are all kinds of things happening at the high school. Yesterday was Western Day or something like that. Big volleyball game against the staff, which the staff won with Mr. Bedford's help, I think. The assistant principal is about 6'5" and a tremendous athlete. So is that correct? Yeah, okay. What we're going to do, again, with homecoming, get there early. This is going to be a packed house going against Brunswick, who's a highly ranked team. This will be a barn burner in regards to a game. So once again, get there early and support the Explorers. Thanks.
Jack lives in Brunswick. He wants to bet everybody $1.
Okay.
I'm from Brunswick, so who?
I get
$1.
You got it.
Oh, got it? Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather owe to you than cheat you out of it.
I'm going to put on my other hat here, the district, just a reminder of the November 9th foundation event that we're having. Marcia is chairing that event, so I have to put her, I'm just behind the scenes doing the honeydew list of whatever she needs done, but November 9th, you'll get more information on that and hope you can make it for the foundation because we're just this close to eradicating polio.
Stand up here for just a minute.
Stand up here.
Yeah, I'll give you an assignment to do. Art?
Have we picked the date for the auction for next year?
Gail?
Yes.
What's the date for our gala next year? All right, while you're looking that up.
Mother's Day weekend.
Mother's Day weekend. Rotary Club Foundation Board meeting right after this meeting. You're all welcome. And next week is College Colors Day. So wear college colors, Or if it's not someplace you went to college, if you have a new love, like Ohio State or something, then wear something that reflects your college colors. All righty. Gail, do we have a date yet? Still working on it. Okay, so Rotabuck.
Is this where I get 20% of whoever wins? Last 4, 3, 4, 4, 6. 4, 4, 6.
Oh, finally. Right. I told you guys not to buy one.
All right, our payout is $12. Jackpot is $410. See you next week. Thanks, Catherine. Oh, you want your money? All right.